Kane Vision welcomes in John Barfeld, the head softball coach at the University of Tulsa. And a few days after the regional, we can kind of step back and look at the season overall. What is your perspective overall in this 2017 team?
Well, you just have to really be pleased with the way the team performed this year. You know, when you take a look at overall stats and things, there's some things where we were outstanding at, and there were some things that we were very good at, and then there were some things that we were just kind of good enough. And so when you put all the pieces together, you know, I feel like the team did a great job of playing under, you know, a lot of stressful innings and a lot of stressful games, and to have as much success as they had, I don't know that I would have predicted that at the beginning of the year. And so when you look back at that, you have to say, boy, you know, you're pleased with the season.
And where you were really good, obviously, was pitching and defense. Those are the two things that really carried you, weren't they?
They were, you know, and there's some dominant record-setting performances on the pitching side of it. Defense was almost as good as we've ever been, you know, in terms of the defensive percentages, in terms of making plays and our defensive percentage on the field. But, you know, that definitely was an area that carried us quite a bit.
And this was after kind of a sketchy start defensively. On those first couple of tournaments, you hadn't had a chance to be outside a whole lot. So really in the last 30 games, 40 games, whatever, you're really good defensively, right?
Well, and I think we got used to playing on different surfaces. You know, you do all your practicing on our home surface, and then you go into the first couple of tournaments, all of a sudden, you know, the infield dirt's harder or bouncier or whatever. And so, you know, it does take some getting used to. But that's important to prepare you for the conference season, because our conference opponents, you know, their infield surfaces are different. And so, you know, a lot of times that does take a while to get used to.
And certainly as we finished out the season, you look offensively at your team, solid, but no big boppers. You probably had to have 3 singles to score a run, that sort of thing. So that was an area that you kind of had to scratch out some runs this year, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, we did most of our home run hitting in conference play, and so that helped out tremendously there. And we do have some players that are capable, but just haven't shown it on a consistent basis yet. But yeah, that wasn't something that you went into a game and said, okay, we're going to, you know, count on a long ball for this game.
Yeah, not a whole lot of 8-9 run games necessarily for TU, and as you mentioned, that put pressure on your pitching and defense, which came through splendidly for you. And as we close this out, though, I know you want to congratulate the Withies and Brittany Walker, you know, your seniors, for doing what they did for the program, right?
Oh, definitely. You know, Brittany was besieged by several injuries throughout her career. The one year that she got to play a full year, she led us in hitting, and so, you know, she did what she could this year, but the Withies, you know, you just have to, you know, take your hat off to them. You know, you're talking about Maggie, who, you know, is going to be probably the 4th highest career average, you know, and she hit over 300 all 4 years. Just you can count the number of people on one hand that have done that. And then, you know, Maddie just coming through her last 3 years and being a solid middle of the lineup hitter for us. And, you know, defensively, both of them were solid, you know, wherever we put them. And it just gave you a lot of confidence if a ball was hit for them that you know, that's kind of where you wanted it to go, because you knew that they were going to make a good play out of it.
Well, congratulations to those young ladies for terrific careers at TU. And then you start talking about Julia Hollingsworth and Tori Stafford, who emerged this year, and just go down the list of all the players coming back with the great experience they had this year. Future's bright, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, one thing I didn't realize when we went to the conference tournament, they wanted me to put the lineup down and then what year they were. And it really just dawned on me for the first time. We had 5 sophomores in the starting lineup, you know, with 2 juniors. And so you've got those 7 that have come back with an awful lot of experience, and some of them had some really good years for us. Some of them were outstanding defensively for us. And so, you know, one of the things that we've always hung our hat here on the program is that, you know, we've got to improve our players from year to year. And we expect them, you know, to keep getting better as they go through their career. We've had a good track record of that happening, and so we've got an awfully good core, like you said, to depend on that.
Well, and one player that's coming back next year is Emily Watson, and I'm not sure if you can put into perspective as a junior what she did for the program this year. She was such a stalwart for you. And the type of season she had is amongst the best you've ever had as a pitching group, right?
Oh, definitely. You know, she has the most wins now in a season. She set that record. She has the most shutouts in a season. She pitched the most innings for us in one season of any pitcher by over close to 40 innings. And so, you know, we heavily depended on her. She came through so much for us this year. But yes, definitely that they did a great job. And then the way our pitchers picked it up, our other pitchers, as far as Lexi and Haley Minen and Madison Higley in conference, when you look at their conference stats and how they perform, because, you know, I'm not the type of person that's going to go and throw one person 3 games in a row.
Right.
And so, you know, Haley had a 0 ERA in conference and didn't even get to pitch in the regionals. And so, you know, she did a great job filling in for us. Some of the reasons for that were, you know, that, you know, she had been coming off of an arm situation, you know, at her previous school. And so we kind of used her sparingly and used her in relief. She liked that role, and she did a great job for us there.
And Lexi, of course, had the line drive off of her head, which hampered her in the injury situation. So you're looking for those two to really continue to emerge, right, next year and give you a good 1-2, maybe 1-2-3 punch, or 1-2-3-4, whatever.
Yeah, well, anytime you have experienced pitching coming back, and not only experienced but successful pitching coming back, that's a great place to start, you know, for the next year in terms of what your expectations are for the team and that nature. And then we also have 2 freshmen coming in, you know, as pitchers. So our pitching staff is going to be plentiful next year, that's for sure.
And of course, as always, you're recruiting all the time and you're bringing in new players. Feel pretty good about the bunch coming in?
Definitely. You know, we've got 3 position players coming in with those 2 pitchers. One of the pitchers is a dual. She plays a position as well as pitching. And so, you know, we're looking for them, you know, to fill some of the big shoes that the Withies are going to leave, you know, in terms of the lineup and defensively and offensively, along with the improvement of players on our roster already.
Coach, I know the regional didn't end the way you wanted to, but it seems like every year or every other year we're talking about first time ever for the program to do this, and you know, first time ever championship in 06, and then first time to a final in 09, and now first time that you were in the winner's bracket and kind of in the driver's seat in the regional with the first 2 wins. Is there a lesson to be learned there? Is there going through it as an experience for the team going to help hopefully in the future?
Well, you know, hopefully it does. You know, obviously players come and go, but you know, we've got like I said, a big core coming back next year. And I think the thing I said in the press conference was, you know, it's really hard, you know, for a mid-major who's, you know, probably never going to be hosting a regional. Very few mid-majors host a regional, and so you're always going up, no matter where you're going, against a great team that's got a great home crowd. And, you know, I don't know if you can come any closer than being 3 outs away with a 2-run lead, but, you know, I'll take that opportunity again if it presents itself, you know, in a heartbeat. But you have to commend the girls for, you know, how tough and how many innings they played in pressure situations. And, you know, they played great in the regional, and, you know, 3 outs away. You know, what can you say?
Yeah, and you'd take that position any day, any year, right?
Exactly.
And one final note before we close this out for the spring season, Coach, Emily Watson, 2nd team All-American, and I know that's really a tremendous honor for her. Her season obviously speaks for itself, but always great to have All-Americans, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, and she deserves it. You know, it's interesting that she wasn't on the first team, you know, all-region. But when you looked at her statistics after the voting came out, I'm looking and I'm thinking, how in the heck did she not beat the couple of pitchers that were there? So that's a really well-deserved honor, you know, and especially going in and pitching as toughly as she did in the regional and then having to throw 4 days in a row. And she still kept us and gave us a chance to win in every ball game.
Absolutely. Coach, congratulations on another great season.
All right, thank you, Bruce.
Head coach John Barfield, University of Tulsa softball.